Brother Attika, there's a lot here, and why don't we just start with what does it mean to you to have this circle of people come to you just briefly on your birthday to discuss this book? What does this mean to you?
Yo, I am so humbled, like by the support, even people, taking their time. And I would say they ain't got nothing better to do because it's a shelter in place, but that's not true. These are people that would travel from where they are to come in. If I was doing a party or a barbecue or a cookout, a lot of these people come from as far as Philly, Jersey, Virginia, these are people who, that's not the answer. The answer is not they ain't got nothing better to do because they quarantining. These are people who actually support me, and I'm humbled by this circle. There are people who know me from the time I couldn't walk, and to the time I was an infant. There are people here who know me from high school. There are people who know me from elementary school. There are people who know me from college. There are people who know me from here that know me from a post-college perspective. And for the most part, everybody I see in here, I have real live personal connections with. And many of them knew me before I knew how to filter the Attika I introduced to them. The Attika people meet now is the Attika I want you to meet. A lot of people here know me before I knew I didn't have that skill as a young man. So a lot of them know the real Attika, and some of them got stories, and that, we could probably do a Zoom roast and that would be a completely different story, but yeah.
Okay, great. So that suggests that there's been some growth, and that probably leads me into the first question. What inspired you to, now you're accomplished, you're a businessman, you've got other things going on, and then you say, I want to be a novelist. Mm-hmm. What inspired you to do that?
Well, there were a lot of things that inspired me to write this book. One of the things is I grew up in an era of reading. I grew up in an era that we read, you know what I'm saying? We read so much that authors had a status in the community. To be an author was a real thing. Like there was a time when what books have you read was probably up there in question number 1, 2, or 3 when you went on a date with someone. You know what I'm saying? And people would be like, well, what's the last book you read? Or the authors that you read, people would judge you based on, you tell a pro-Black, Van Sertima or Dr. Ben or Dr. Clark reader that the last book you read was Donald Goines, you might get judged, or then you got the Toni Morrisons, you got the Walter Mosleys, you got those, so people really, reading was a thing to the point where in certain circles, you'll be at a dinner meeting and they'll ask you about the authors you knew. So I grew up in an era where we held authors in a high regard. Now, being a film, so I always wanted to write a book, but that wasn't what started this.
Hold that. Put in the chat room if you remember reading a Donald Goines book. Just throw that in there. Keep going, Attika.
Say that again?
I told people put in the chat room if they ever read a Donald Goines book or if they remember it.
Man, Donald Goines, Iceberg Slim, for the girls, it was what was it? It wasn't Nancy Drew, was it? Like what were the people were reading? It
was Danielle Steele.
Daniel Steele, right?
Ooh.
Daniel Steele. Yeah, but the dudes was on that Donald Goines and that Iceberg Slim hard.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hard, But even then, like, so that's not really what got. So you can always have an idea, but it's one of them things where something is gonna spark you, something's gonna kick you in the ass to get up and make it happen, right?
Right.
So after I, shameless plug here, after I was nominated, after I had the 2 Emmy nominations, a bunch of show ideas came up. I mean, people were coming at me and offering me jobs, and there were jobs I didn't want to take. And literally, I'd be in the house, and people think because you either win an Emmy or you nominated that you got money, but chances are the work that you did was so long ago that that money already spent. So I'm in the house and my wife is listening to me turn down jobs. Like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And if I told you the jobs that were offered to me, because you're gonna get work. And before I won an Emmy, BET did a reality show on me about making a film in 48 hours. It was a reality show. It was a competition. I won it. And at that point is, right after that show ideas came to me and they were so whack. Film ideas, I didn't want to do those. So I said no. Same thing happened this time after we was nominated for the Emmy. It's like you nominated for doing an Emmy, Rest in Power, the Trayvon Martin story. Then somebody wants you to do the Real Housewives of Fulton Street. And you like, I ain't doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? But you say no so many times that people stop asking you. Okay. So now your phone isn't ringing. So now because your phone isn't ringing, you're trying to figure out how I'm gonna get my next gig. And there, so there's some offices that because of your accolades, they don't want you in the office. That because we work in satellite offices. Every time you take a job, you create an office. So that's what I mean. Like I'm not going to be on anybody's staff, but you go to take a job. People don't want you in the office because sometimes you're more accomplished than them from a resume perspective. And so, I'm sitting home and I started writing another script. Every single time I wrote a script, it was because I didn't have work. Every time. I don't have the discipline of a writer to sit down in the middle of my life that's popping and go write a script. I write a script. You know what I'm saying? When things aren't going on, I'll sit down. You know what? I need to write a script. So just wrapping this up, I was writing another screenplay and I said, you know what? Write another screenplay and it doesn't get produced, then it's like I never wrote it. It's like that tree that fell in the forest, did it make noise? Okay. I have several screenplays that I haven't produced. So I wanted to shift the model. And then also script writers are not considered authors. You can write 10 screenplays, they all can be 120 pages long, but you're not considered an author, right? So I switched the model and said, if I make this, and then I'm not getting paid to write it, I'm writing it on spec. So I said, if I switch the model and instead of writing a screenplay, I write a novel. Oh, and also I've never heard of a movie that was made and then turned into a novel, right? I've heard of several novels that were written and turned into screenplays, but I've never heard it in reverse. So there's a few things. One, I was down on work, didn't have any people calling my phone anymore. So now you're thinking I got to create my own work. So I'm writing a screenplay. Two, I wanted to maximize my opportunity as a screenplay writer because I'm not considered an author, so I don't get to check that box. And also, if it doesn't get made, it's like I never made it. So I said to myself, if I write this as a novel, at least I can add a slash to my name, like producer, director / novelist. And then that will give me a little more cachet to some degree. And in the absolute worst case scenario, I can sell them and make some money.
Got it.
If it creates a buzz, I can then get paid to write my own screenplay and produce the film. So it was creativity, it was business, it was so many things that led to me saying, I'm gonna venture down this novel, I'm gonna write a book instead of a screenplay, and none of it had to do with me saying at this very moment, I wanna be an author. It was like, I had to do something different because I have screenplays that I wrote in 90s, 99, 2000 that were never made.
Got it. Brilliant. Okay, so you write this book. What did you learn? Give me a top 2 things that you learned through this process.
The main thing is the things that intimidate us oftentimes are self-inflicted.
You're going to have to unpack that one.
Okay, so writing a book is intimidating. It's intimidating. Sometimes reading a book is intimidating. You ever pick up one of them books that the first thing you do is look at how many pages in it?
Okay.
You ever pick up a book and you read it and it passed your tolerance threshold?
Okay. Yep.
Like, all right, once it passed 300 pages, that's a lot. That's a full-on commitment. That's like Money Heist.
Right.
Right? So it's like I gotta commit to this, and I just don't have that type of time. It's intimidating. So you go from
to get this wrong.
Who's not muted?
I got it.
So you go from being intimidated from reading certain books to being intimidated by writing a book, because that's a full-on commitment. And then, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. So I'm also, that's not my wheel well. That's not the world I'm in. And you got people talking about, I'm on the thing. So you got people talking about Ta-Nehisi Coates. Have you read Michelle Obama's new book? And then here come the same people, my friends, that's the same audience.
Right.
That I'm going to write a book now and put out there. Right. So I'm also, again, I'm an artist. I'm sensitive about my shit. So now I'm saying, all right, cool. How can I put this out there to my audience who's that same audience? And it was a little intimidating. So when I do it and I get the reviews and I get people saying, I read it in my first sitting. This book is amazing. It's a page turner. That's when I realized, I was intimidated by nothing.
Got it.
I was intimidated by the boogeyman. I created the boogeyman.
Got it.
And that's what I mean by a lot of times we're intimidated by things that are self-inflicted.
Excellent. So that's a huge learning. So let's turn to the book a little bit.
That's for two things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one. Number two, we give our power away. Often we give our power away. I gave my power away early on because, I thought other people knew more about this than me. Editors, publishers, I figured they knew more than this about me. No more than this than I did. I relinquished my autonomy out the gate. And I'm asking other editors to I'm willing to pay you to read this and edit it. And I'm getting pushed back for months. People tell me you got 2 months. I can't look at it for 2 months. I'm like, all right, cool. Then, some people reading it, somebody read it, wasn't familiar with the content. And then they had some advice about the content. How you have advice about the content and you're not familiar with it? I'm asking you about other things. I want you to edit for other reasons. I don't want you to edit this because of the content. I want you to edit it for the continuity. I want you to edit it for the structure. I want you to edit it for the, for so many different things. I want you to find the misspelled words. I want you to do certain things. So when she was questioning me about the content, I knew I wasn't working with her. Another editor, when I had the idea, when it hit me one point, after I printed the first manuscript, when I had the idea that I wanted to do it in landscape, she said, no novels are done in landscape. And I said, no, but I know that. And that's why I want to do this in landscape. And she was like, yeah, but that's not really how novels are done. Then she was thinking about shelf positioning. And so I said, I don't care about shelf positioning because the first round of books, I'm not even selling in the stores. And she said, well, by the time she had 3 butts, she was out too. After the 3rd butt, she was out too. Like, I'm not dealing with her. And I am a writer. I'm just not a novelist. So I gave my autonomy away to other people because I respect the craft so much that I said, someone has to know more than me. Each time I read the book, I found, and then here's the other thing. I read books written by professional editors and found mistakes in them.
Okay.
And after that, I decided not to have an editor. Because what you can't tell me I don't know how to tell a story.
Okay.
That you can't tell. You can say technically it's flawed. There's a couple of mistakes in here, spelling and stuff like that. Because if you write 45,000 words, you're going to miss 1 or 2, right? But the reality is, And then when you turn off your autocorrect because you're doing colloquialisms,
Right.
and slang, you know, you're going to miss some. But you can't tell me I don't know how to tell a story. So after so many times of fighting to try and get these, you know, I feel like it's please listen to my demo. You know, please listen to my demo. Please listen to my demo. And after a while, you just do it yourself. And that's where we got. So those are the two things. Intimidation is self, you know, actualized. And two, we give our autonomy and our power away very early to people who we think have, you know, we think are more, are better than us at what they do.
Powerful. So put in the chat room if that anything resonated with you. Those are powerful things. So I want to dive into the book a little bit now. And I'm keeping my eye on the clock because I know people got questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
What two characters, if you can think of them, any two characters, have they gave you feedback on the book that are prominently in the book, that read the book and was like, yo, did that happen?
What two characters gave me feedback?
Yeah, characters in the feedback in the book that are based on, that are maybe still around.
Well, the characters are fictional, so
okay.
the characters didn't give me feedback. I'm
Meaning
not,
that they're based.
Ask me about characters.
Yeah.
Pardon?
So the characters are based on people or completely fictional?
No, they're based on people, but
okay.
they're based on people from a perspective that I know somebody and I use that person to write around them. It's not because that's what they did. It's
right.
because of the aura that they presented.
Okay,
you know
fine.
Like, I may come up with a story in my mind and the dude was a head of an IT firm.
Okay.
And I may name him Derek Gurriel because that's the dude who I think of when I think of IT, right? I may know someone that's, you know, a doctor that lives on a remote island, a tropical island, and I may name that person Dr. Tanya because that's who I know like that. But when I'm writing a story, I'm not writing her life.
Right.
I just use that character, and then so that informs me of her personality as I know it. That informs me of her experiences as I know it, and that helps me with character definition early on. But I then build the story.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So I'm going to go into this one. You talk in the book about the drug game, the drug culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did going through this process make you more or less or neutral, sympathetic to the lives of people who lost their lives in the drug trade or people who lost their freedom through the drug trade? Did going through this process shift your perspective anyway? Going through the stories, some of it was very vivid for people who know people who were in that lifestyle. And did that do anything for you? Did it shift perspective? Did it make you look at it differently in terms of those who got trapped up in it?
That did not shift my perspective because my perspective was extremely clear in the beginning. Like
okay.
it was not from a perspective of me trying to me studying it. So I'm trying to find out. This was not like a documentary about something I'm not familiar with. Like, you know, it wasn't about the backstory of something. I'm closely connected to the drug game, like closely. Like I lost a brother to it. You know, like I'm closely connected to it. In the book, I glanced over the fact, and I did it intentionally. I glanced over the fact that I had a brother that was killed to the drug game. Like I'm closely connected to it. We all are one degree of separation, you know, away from it. So it's one of them things, whereas, you know, I wrote about it because the late 80s, 90s, the mid 80s to the mid 90s to me is one of the dopest eras in the history of the United States of America, from arts, culture, media, entertainment. There's nothing like it. Like for everything from the hairdos to the clothes to the cars, the way we did our cars in the 80s and 90s, you know, the dances, the movies that came out of it. That era we can put that era up against any era in American culture as it relates to arts, culture, and entertainment. And I think it's one of the best. So I always wanted to write a period piece about that. Secondly, I've always been intrigued by the gangster lifestyle. Some of my favorite movies are The Untouchables, New Jack City, Sugar Hill, Paid in Full. I've always liked that. So I wanted to write a story about that. Also, because I was writing this as a television pilot, some of the stories that's popping now was like Power, Snowfall, you know, things like that. And I wanted to put a different twist on that genre. So the drug culture, I always understood it. Years ago, a man named Barbara Herman Ferguson, everybody should Google Barbara Herman Ferguson, and I mean that. He wrote a pamphlet. When I was growing up, all of our parents were under surveillance, like every one of us. Like if you was cool with me, you were under surveillance by association. Like literally, by the time my brother's in here, by the time I was 6, 7 years old, I knew how to drop a chain link fence out of a 3-story window. Like for real, for real. We had gas masks and all that stuff growing up, right? So there's a dude named Bob Herman. So we didn't write books. We used to write, people used to write pamphlets and photocopy them on a photocopy printer that we would turn them like this and make photocopies and staple them together with a construction paper on the front as the cover and construction paper on the back. Barbara Herman Ferguson wrote a book called, a pamphlet that he gave out called Dope, an Agent of Chemical Warfare. This was in like the early 70s. And years later in the 80s, I read it. By then the staples were rusty and everything. I just wish I have it somewhere, but it's a beautiful piece of history that I wish I could find. But he wrote a book called Dope, an Agent of Chemical Warfare. And that's when I started looking at the drug game as warfare, biological warfare, chemical warfare, financial warfare, and so many different other things. And at that point, I realized the crack era created the greatest divide in America since slavery. Since slavery, like, because what it did was it generated funds for the wealthy and it decimated an entire generation. It decimated an entire generation of people, right? So I've always been intrigued by it. I've always found the war on drugs as an actual war on people. And it was one of them things that many people in our era got caught up in. We knew people, and here's the funny thing, we don't know too many people that had a 10-year run in the drug game. It's not a lot. You know what I'm saying? You think of some of the biggest names in the drug game, they had maybe a 5-year run, especially they were started at 16 to 18 years old. They started at 16 to 18, and then they went to about 23. They got arrested for 20 years, right, or they got killed, right? So I've always been intrigued by it. So I wanted to speak about it in a way that everybody wasn't in it like Big Willie. Everybody wasn't, you know, diabolical, you know, or you know, just evil in it. Some people came from good homes, good families, and there was a succession of events that occurred that led them down that alley. Like in the book, at one point I say, yo, if I can get arrested for being at work, I might as well go try my hand at, my dudes are coming back and forth from out of town with Mercedes Benzes and Coogee sweaters and shit. I might as well give it a shot because I'm going to school and I'm getting arrested at work.
Right, right.
You know, so there was a succession of things. It wasn't, and there's a moment in there where my father even asked me, do you think you would fit in jail? And I'm like, yo, I work out, I do push-ups, I can fight, of course I can fit. And he was like, nah, you don't fit. You got 2 parents, you went to college, you know, you live in a home, you don't live in a project. Not saying everybody live in a project fucked up, but I'm like, you don't live in a projects, you know, your father isn't a recidivist, your mother isn't on drugs, you don't fit, your story don't fit. And I never even thought about jail that way. I thought, as long as I'm strong enough, because here's the ill shit. my actual reality, even though I wasn't doing anything to go to jail, my actual reality was I might wind up in jail.
Right.
So we doing push-ups just in case. I wasn't doing push-ups because I played on the football team. I'm like, I need to know how to fight just in case I go to jail. Crazy shit. I'm gonna tell you some crazy shit. This was before we had loofahs and liquid soap and shit. I used to try to take a shower without dropping the soap.
Wow.
I thought I might go to jail. And when I was young, people said shit about dropping the soap. So here I am, 16 years old, like just in case I go to, whoop, let me catch that. That ain't going to drop. You know what I'm saying? Because it kind of fuck with your psyche.
Okay, last thing. And this is going to be, I've never spent $100 for a book. Most people never have. You did, and this is your first book. Mm-hmm. And you priced it at $100. I remember I tried to negotiate you to knock off the $4 for shipping.
I didn't even respond to you.
I know, and I said, yeah, he ain't trying to hear that. So that said, what was the thinking to say, this is what it is, and I know this is gonna be what it's gonna be? Because that's groundbreaking.
You know, it is. And I realize that a lot of people, most people, I want to say all people, but I'm not that brazen because I don't know all people. But I know most people have never paid $100 for a novel, right? I know most people have never paid $100 for a novel by a writer that's, in a nutshell, unknown as a novelist, right? But I said, no one can price my intellectual property. Nobody. All they can do is say, I don't want it, or try to negotiate. And nobody has won a negotiation with me on this book. I priced it because I thought it was worth it. And I knew that, so here's another thing, right? So over the years, I have built a following on social media. But before social media, I've always been me. I've always been me. And the me that I have developed into is what people invested in. You know why? Because everybody on here, ain't nobody here asked me what's the book about. Nobody. They said, yo, you got a book? How much? $100? Cash apping you now, send it to me. They didn't even ask what's it about. They did not, some people hadn't even seen it. Like they didn't see the video or anything. They just heard I wrote a book. I have developed over time, you know, human collateral, you know, and I felt like I can leverage that because it's not just to write a book. It's a lot of things involved. People told me what I would get from a major if I went with a major publishing house. And I said, I'm gonna get that on my own. I'm gonna forget Simon & Schuster or Penguin or McGraw-Hill or whoever, I don't know who they are, but forget that. I'm gonna get that on my own. And not only that, I'm going to create it so that people feel like it's part of something. I have no marketing team, no publicist. The people are speaking. The people, everybody here is saying the book is good. Before they say it's good, they say it looks good. When they on camera, on social media, they say, wow, that's dope. Then when they get it, I'm like, yo, this feels good. The pages are, this is good. It looks, it's not like, you know, pictures of food on a commercial, then you buy a hamburger and it's like, ew, right. That ain't what it look like, right? It's the same exact shit you saw in the video. You know, and I didn't sell this as a literary work. I sold it as a work of art. There is no ISBN number for several reasons. You know, there is no ISBN number. You have a number to match the book, which matches your certificate of authenticity. The same as if you bought a piece of art. The same as if you bought an expensive bag or a watch. They give you a license to match it. This is that. Right? And so it's not sold as a literary work, it's sold as a work of art. It's a coffee table novel. Whoever did that shit, I don't know. Right. Like if it exists, I've never seen it. You know, but I said I can do it because another thing, I think there's two things that I've tried to model my creativity by. Number one, you sidestep the obvious. You sidestep the obvious. You don't do what's expected of you, right? People don't know what the book is about. They see the pictures, dope. Like, nobody asked me before they gave me $100, what's this book about? That shit is humbling to me, but it's also mind-blowing because they invested in me, and I appreciate that so much. I'm even getting emotional talking about it. You know what I'm saying? I really am. But the second thing is, outside of sidestepping the obvious, you find your ceiling. You find your ceiling and you break through that shit and you find another ceiling and you keep going. So my book went from, I want to write a book, to I'm gonna make it different. I'm gonna make it landscape instead of portrait, to, and I can show you. So the first time I wrote it, I'm like, yo, all I wanted to do was write 100 pages. That's all I wanted. I just wanted 100, because I felt like 100 pages was a good book. I would pick up books, and I'd pick up, all of these books, Barracoon and Time Between the World and Me, and I pick up all these books and I check how many pages, like 147. Okay, how much is this? And I look at the size and say, okay, that's good. I just want to be there, right? So I spoke to a friend. So I finished the whole story, and all I had was 47 pages. Whole story. So I said, I got to go back in and figure out where to add some more shit, but I was comfortable with the story I had. So I called a friend, and then he said, how did you write it? I said, I wrote it in like 11, 12 point Times Roman, Microsoft Word, single space. He said, nah, you got to double space it. You got to double space it. You write it in, and then I said, I want it bigger because, I don't like squinting when I'm reading. So he said, it's comfortable to do it in 14 point double space it. And he said, Garamond is the standard, not Times Roman. So I said, bet. I went home, put it in Garamond, 14 point double space. I said, oh shit, I got 300 pages. I said, now I got a book. I didn't have a book before. I had a pamphlet.
Got it.
I had a pamphlet. Now I said, yo, I got over 300 pages. I got a book. Then it became real. So I said, I got to print this shit out, man. I got to print this out. And then I'm like, what's the size? He told me the size. It was like 7x9. So I went and got it printed. This is what I had when I printed it. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know how to take this background off. My daughter did it. But this is like a 5x7, just bound, 5x7. I wanted to print it. So I got this and I was like, wow, I got a book. On the front, I put the title. I don't know if you can see it, but it's in and out. I got it. Anaya, come here for a minute. So I took this, so I got this printed. Anaya, she might be in the backyard. I don't know how to take this background off.
So go down to your
website. I'll work it out.
All right.
So I got this printed, right? And then after I got it printed, I said, yes, I have something. But by then I said, let me get some feedback on it. So I was asking people to read it. A lot of people didn't have time, and I understand that because, everybody ain't got time to read 300 pages, right? But I sent it to my toughest critics in the world, my brothers. I sent it to my brothers. Those are my toughest critics, because they're gonna tell you your shit stink, like at you bugging, like that's bullshit, and don't write that. And my brother Saj, who's in here, and I don't know if my other brother Juju is here, but Saj said, yo, I read it in one sitting, yo. He said that shit is hot. And when he said that, I was good. I was golden. Because that's the dude that has always told me when the shit stinks.
Okay.
Him and my other brother Juju, they you bugging. And like, those are the two, like, I can brush off a lot of shit in my world. Like, a lot of people can say stuff and I can brush it off. But if those two pull my coat, it's like, yo, you need to check yourself.
Got it.
Right? And then, so that was the first thing. I just got it printed in white pages, just got a clear cover on it.
Uh-huh.
And then they did the back. And, so the next one I got was this one. And I didn't have any pictures in it. I want this. Anaya, come here, please. Hurry up. Oh, shucks. I don't know. Now, Doc, I'm sorry. I want to take this backdrop off because it's messing with me.
Oh, so you go to the on your far left next to the mute, you want to go and hit the button that says the arrow pointing up next to the stop video button.
Oh, next to stop video.
The arrow, then choose virtual background.
I don't have that. It says video settings. Oh, it says choose virtual background. Yeah.
Click that.
And none?
Yeah, hit none.
Okay, cool. And then
you're good. Right now, we see you as you are in wherever you are, whatever room you are. You should be able to put it to the camera.
All right, cool. So then I decided to get pictures taken because now that I have this here, I'm like, now I got to start working on. See, this is in portrait, right? I'm like, now I got to start working on this. So I'm sitting, I got this lovely media center with a glass front, my TV sitting on it. So while I'm sitting at watching television, I'm looking at the books that's in my media center. And there was one coffee table book that was landscape. Spike Lee had done a 25-year anthology of his films, and it's one of the books that I had. But his was a photo book, a coffee table book. So I said, I want my book like that. Mine is not a photo book. It's a novel. But I didn't care. I wanted it like that. So I understood what I wanted. I went and got some pictures taken. I wanted my Brooklyn black with a hoodie, but I wanted it with a little swag. So we got the velour Brooklyn black. I didn't want like a Champion hoodie and some jeans, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, you got to throw the Timbs on, you know. And back then in the 90s, we didn't have the Brooklyn Nets. So I had a new blue Yankee on, who but me, you know what I'm saying? Did that. And then after I saw the pictures, because I told my man, Romulus, the photographer, I knew what we wanted to do. And we did it on my block. We just got a camera and we went and took pictures. I liked the pictures so much that instead of choosing one, I chose two. So that's how we got the one on the front and the one on the back. But inside this is no pictures because this is the first iteration of the book. There's no gold here. There's just pages. This type is so small that it was crazy. So the next version of the book, I said, I need pictures inside. Then we got pictures inside. But that wasn't enough for me because the inside you open, nothing is there, you know, and there's no gold trimming here. So again, every time you find a ceiling, you try to push further. And I liked this picture so much that I thought it wasn't being served justice because it was cropped for this cover. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna give the people the whole picture.
Okay.
Right? And I had to find a printer to print on the inside of the cover because that's not done often. Even one editor told me, like, putting a picture on, she said, you should put leaflets on this. You should make the book black and put leaflets. I told her, nope, I'm not doing that. So that's how this came. And because I had the back cover like this, there was none here. There was none here yet. But by then I had thought about the gold. And I liked the picture so much that I said, man, I got to do it justice, man. So we did the book. Now you got this, you got this, you got this, you got this. Then we had other pictures that I like a lot. So I just threw one there, you know what I'm saying? And then I threw another one in the front, you know, and that's how we got to here. And I put the gold trimming on it. And then we got so I go to art galleries sometimes and my man sells art. And one time there was a what do they call it? The art shows. It was a display, right? Right. And the artist had 250 pieces in his display, and he was selling them each for $500. And now they're worth like $3,500 each, right? But at the time there was 250 pieces, and each one was numbered. And every time I went to an art gallery, I saw pieces of a series that was numbered, and I was like, "Yo!" And they had certificates of authenticity, and I had to, investigate that. And then I didn't want a white paper certificate with a gold seal. That looked corny. Everybody in here that can afford a decent bag and watch, you get stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? It makes you feel like you're part of a club. You know what I'm saying? But you really own this number. Like, no, there's no one else with that number. And so, yeah, that was the process. That's how we went through from where we started with it printed, with it written on a computer, the way I sent it to my brother Sag, to printing it like this, to where it is now. And it was always two things: sidestepping the obvious, because no one thought of a coffee table novel, landscape, the pictures on the front instead of on a leaflet, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, it's just a novel. So why put gold trimming? Who wants a certificate of authenticity? I do. And if you're gonna sell it for $100, you gotta make people feel like they just bought something, because even though you have that human equity, you don't wanna take advantage of it.
Got it.
You don't wanna take advantage of it, because you don't wanna sell somebody a piece of crap and then they're gonna buy it once. But you know, my publicist is everybody here. Every time they post a picture, I hear my Cash App. Like, dead serious. Like that. My man D said, I'm gonna buy 2 because I want to read one and I want to save one.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's the kind of support that we had. And the publicity is like, I have a sister on here that I just met her the other day, and she said, I saw it on Facebook, and I said, I gotta have that because I don't live in Brooklyn right now, but you know, I want a piece of this for me. And it goes on your table, and it's like, that's a piece of Brooklyn. And on top of all of that, Doc, Brooklyn is one of the highest marketed places in the world right now as it relates to sales and everything else. So there's gonna be people outside of this circle that wants to buy it, and it's not offered to them just yet. It will be at some point, but I wanted to give my people an opportunity to grab this first. So the way you get it, I don't have a website for this. I can get one. You know, Squarespace ain't shit. I can get that. But the reality is, people ask me, how do I buy it? You buy it from me. Cash at me, I'll send it to you, or I'll bring it to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to put it on Amazon yet, because when that happens, it's for everybody else. But they ain't going to get this book. They ain't going to get the book that you bought.
Got it.
They're going to get that $14.95 or that $19.95 joint that after they sell their first 10,000 copies is going to drop to $2.95. They're going to get that shit. They'll never get.
Wow, you just dropped a lot. And I'm sure people want to either give you some salutes or want to ask you questions about the book. So if you want to do that in the audience, why don't you, on the bottom of your screen, you have the ability, it says reaction, and you can just put the thumbs up, and I will go to you and unmute you. And there, right now, there's C6. Whoever C6 is, I'm gonna go to you, and I'm gonna click ask to unmute, and just unmute yourself, C6, and let it rip.
Yo, what's up, AT&T? You know what it is.
B-Pass.
What's going on, man? Listen, I already told you, there's nothing but love. But I just want to tell you, man, that the book is definitely dope. You already know where I stand on it. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you was writing one page to 1,000 pages. I'm buying it.
Appreciate it.
I'm very proud of you. Happy birthday to you. Definitely happy birthday to you. I love you. And, yo, just keep doing what you're doing. I miss you. I don't know when I'm going to be home, but just know this. I'm supporting AT&T. This is the real AT&T. Salute.
Yo, since we speak in Brooklyn jargon, when he said he don't know when he going to be home, he mean he don't know when he coming to Brooklyn.
Fair enough. Well,
you know, we talking colloquialisms here. We talking Brooklyn Bred, so he ain't locked up.
Yeah, because that would be a pretty loose situation he's in if he was. So he's good. All right. Who else wants to share? Ask a question or share. Anyone? I think you can unmute yourself if that's what you want to do. Okay, right here, Derek. Go ahead.
Hey, everybody. So the first question that I want to ask, and this is one of the things that I admired the most, is that you went the route of self-publishing, like doing it yourself. And, you know, I can only imagine, and you spoke about it a little earlier about the different challenges when you spoke to this editor or that editor. What gave you the courage to like, because that, I would imagine that's a huge thing to like self-publishing the book yourself. And by the way, we love the book as an art form just in itself. And I think I shared that with you. We just love the aesthetics of the book and the format, the landscape is awesome. But what gave you the courage to like say, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do this myself?
Well, thank you very much, D. I appreciate you. And you know, it's one thing when you tell me you like it because you're my man from way back, you know, 30 years. But when you told me your wife loved it, I was like, yes, yes. You know what I'm saying? You know, those are the things, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yes, you know, because I'm still, again, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Man, some of your dudes are going to tell you like, yo, I like it, it's dope. And you know, it's like, all right, cool. And I appreciate that. But then it's another thing, you know, your lady was like, yo, when you told me she loved it, I was like, dope. And y'all was reading it together. I'm like, yo, that's what's up. The self-publishing, once I wrote the book, I knew everything else was possible. Writing the book, creating the product is the biggest thing. Selling the product is not as big as creating the product. You know what I'm saying? So all we're talking about is creating a company, getting a bank account. I was never a Cash App, a Zelle dude like that. But I had to create that because I didn't want to have to turn money away. Be like, yo, can you write me a check?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, you got a money order? Can you go to the bank and wait and get me a money? I couldn't do that, right? So I had to figure that part out. But in terms of publishing, you know, the other thing, like I said, man, it's like, yo, we give a lot of people way more credit than they deserve. We relinquish our autonomy. You know, it doesn't take much to start a company. The toughest thing is hustling these books, and that ain't even tough because I'm doing drop-offs in Brooklyn because there are people that I haven't seen. In the absolute worst case scenario, I haven't seen them in 3 months. Right? I mean, in the best case scenario, I haven't seen them in 3 months because of the quarantine. The worst case, some people here I haven't seen in 20 years, man. Wow. I haven't seen in 20 years. And they're like, yo, I'm buying a book, and like just dropping it off, even with social distancing, just giving them the book, backing up with the mask on and everything, but talking to them. And, you know, it's genuine because you can't see anybody smile, but you can feel it and you can hear it. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody got masks on, but you giving them the book. So the self-publishing and it was just as simple as me starting a company, getting a bank account, speaking to my accountant, you know, and just moving from there and receiving funds. But you know, that wasn't intimidating. The most intimidating part about it was getting over the hump about writing the actual book. You know what I'm saying? And that was my Goliath. Once I knocked that shit out, the company, I know how to make a company and sell shit. This ain't my first time. My brother and I was hawking Brotherly Love video VHSs when I made my first movie. You know what I'm saying? That's nothing new. Like we getting out there doing the selling it out the car, and that's nothing new. So knowing that I could sell it wasn't the biggest challenge. The company is just the structural thing, but we got attorneys for that. That's easy.
Gotcha. You
know, that's easy. Like and then the publishing, I spoke to one of my dudes about publishing, and he was like, I spoke to a few people who went with majors and people who didn't, did a little research, and everybody was like, yo, their experience with the majors wasn't good. They told me how much money they got paid, and I was like, I'll be damned if I sign a new edition contract right now.
Right.
I'll be damned if I sign a new edition contract right now in 2020. I'm not doing it. And then my man was like, yo, he told me a story. My man, Mike July, he did a book called Afros, a big photo coffee table, but it's portrait, but it's huge, of Afro culture. And he told me a story, because he's self-published, and he told me a story about his man. His man had books that cost $25 each, right? He went with a major, but the major was selling him the books for like $9 each. When he went out, he could sell them for $25, but the price in the stores was $25, right? So what they do is they'll get their first run. Let's just say that the more books you buy, the less expensive they are. So let's just say the publishing house bought 10,000 books, right? they may have paid a pittance of that. I don't know, but let's just say they paid $5 each per book, right? Then what happened was they sold their first 2,000, 3,000, got their money back, but he was still on the talk circuit. He's carrying his books with him everywhere, selling them outside, signing autographs and everything. But the problem is, nowadays people will see you on stage, and as you're talking, they're Googling you and Amazoning you and finding out how much your book costs. So because let's just say, just for the sake of even numbers, right? They paid $25,000 for 10,000 books. They sold 2,000 of those books. That's 50,000 right there. They got their money back. Now they have book storage that they got to deal with. Storage, right? Now they're a major, so they got a lot of titles. What they do now is, you're still on the circuit selling your book for $25 each. They'll drop your price to $6 because now they're just trying to dump. They're doing a product dump now, right? So they already made their money. Now they're doing a product dump. So now you're on the circuit talking. You're on this lovely stage at this lovely auditorium and stuff, and you're outside and you're like, how come I'm not selling any books? Because as you're on stage speaking, people are Amazoning your book, and they're like, oh, they're on sale now for $6. Nobody else is selling my book.
Got it.
Nobody, period. When it's released to Amazon, I'm done with it. I'll just wait for them to send me a check. But by the time they release it, all of my people got one and I sold it. They're not underselling me. By the time it's on Amazon, if it ever goes to Amazon, it'll be paperback. It won't be the same book you have. It won't have as many pictures. It won't be this glossy. It won't be the gold trim. It won't be none of that. It's going to be one of them. I don't know if it's going to be paperback or hardcover with a leaflet, but that's one of the things that publishers do to you. You know, so then they stop you from being able to make money, lugging your stuff around on an airplane in a tote bag and stuff. And then you sit outside at a table for 45 minutes and you sell one book.
Wow.
One person who doesn't have internet.
Wow.
Yeah, that's serious talk. So all of those things that I spoke about from people who experienced it, and then the price that they said, the maximum you'll get from a publisher as a first-time writer, we already surpassed that.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
So
Thank you, D. Thank you. And tell me your wife's name again.
Letitia, hi. So I have one question for you. I see this book becoming a movie. So who would play Attika if you had to choose someone today?
There is no Attika in that book.
All right. Excuse me.
Nah,
play the main character.
No, there is. I use my name for a specific.
You did use your name once.
Yes.
Yeah, I used my name for a specific scene because I had to, because I felt like that scene was very important because that scene actually happened.
Right.
You know, and I felt like that scene was very, very important to tell because of everything that wrapped
going on.
Yeah,
That's the scene that had me and my wife actually stop reading and talk about it and debate.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I just see my mother jumped in here, and that scene actually really happened. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of things that I wanted to express in the book as well. You know, my father did express to me the whole thing about weaponry. You know, he expressed to me that, you know, just because someone has a weapon doesn't mean you're defeated. If they don't get to their weapon before you do, it's no longer their weapon. You know what I'm saying? And so when that, and then I think it's important to change the thinking of our people as it relates to playing defense. Sometimes you can play offense, even if you're the defender. You know what I'm saying? Even if someone attacks you and you're on defense, you can play offense. Prime example, in Clearwater, Florida, there's a gentleman named Marquise McLaughlin that was killed. He's the guy that his wife was in the car and a man named Michael Draker came over disrespecting her and threatening her because they were in a handicap parking. So someone ran into the store and said, yo, somebody's messing with your wife. He came outside, pushed the man to the ground. The man shot him and he died. You can Google it. It's real shit. Here's the deal. There are laws in Florida. One of them is the Castle Doctrine. And then the other law is stand your ground, right? So the Castle Doctrine, and then there are concealed carry state too, right? So if she had her weapon on her and that man came to her car as a woman with her child in it, banging on her window, threatening her and things of that nature, had she shot him, she would have A, been in the right, and 2, her husband would still be alive. Now, I'm not advocating walking around shooting people and stuff, right? But I'm advocating knowing the laws. I'm advocating protecting and defending yourself, because there are people that are out here that are benefiting from these laws in a diabolical way. I wanted to put that scene in the story because just because he has a gun and just because he's an officer, he never had the upper hand on me. I peeped the way he sat. I peeped the way he stood up. I peeped the fact that he had an open holster all before he even made a move. I checked him out, and by the time he knew his gun was gone, I could have blew his brains out. True story. In the movie, the story was written to be a TV pilot. It's funny because even the way it's designed as a visual art. It's like the opening sequence. The way it opens, I have a table of contents because it's a book, but it opens right into the story. And then it ends and there's a few credits at the end, right? My about the author isn't in the front with a picture of me with a nice headshot glammed up. That's not it. It's at the end with credit. It looks like credits. This was written as a literary visual piece, which is different. Even the landscape is the shape of a frame, of a film frame. Like all of that, it was written to be visual. I'm planting the seed of a visual work in the mind of the executives when we do it, if we go into executives, because we may be doing this independently as well. But I don't see anybody swagged out enough to play king. I just don't. We're gonna have to clone somebody because that dude there was a tough one. That character I wrote.
Wow.
It's a pilot. I hope that it becomes not a pilot, a TV show.
A TV show.
Beyond that, because there are variables there. Mm-hmm. There's something I spoke about that I never spoke. So the way this is written, Brooklyn Bred is the series. Mm-hmm. A 90's Brooklyn story is the name of this book. The next one is the next one is a prequel. So this happens from when I left college to when I went back to college. Mm-hmm. And the second one, Derek will get a kick out of this. The prequel is from 88 to 92 when I first went to college.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah, there's some shit in here I didn't know. So that's some good stuff.
Yeah, wow. Someone else have a question.
Derek got a slope.
Hey, I'm sorry. I had to jump in on this for a second. Hey, you should have seen Linnell's face when you said that.
I said what?
Linnell's face was like this.
But yeah, I'm pulling from places that some of these people know about. So that's I know I was long-winded, but I wanted to, contextualize the whole thing.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else with a question, or that would be Linnell. Okay, you're on.
My statement. What resonated in me from this interview was 3 major words. Ceilings is one. That's powerful in itself. I know everybody has that connection that you were breaking through several ceilings. Fear. As a writer, listening to you, I'm like, oh my gosh, I already have what he's saying that he needed to get through. So that's powerful in itself. We're like, what I wrote down was that we're our biggest critics and we're our biggest obstacles. And the last thing is invest. We're always waiting to do it the way, because I looked for your ISBN number and I couldn't find it. And I looked for where you stamped the name of your publisher and I couldn't find it. So in my head, I was coming here to ask you that today, but to hear that it's all yours and that it's, you sell it the way you want it and you earn it, you earn everything exactly back. You put out and you get back. I was like, that's powerful. I mean, that's something that we need to teach our children, that you don't have to go to someone else to send out your best work, or you don't have to get someone else's approval. I love the fact that you said that when they said you couldn't, it was like, no, this is what I want. I like that, because then we're always conditioning ourselves to fit in somebody else's box. So like I said, hat off to you. I told you today when you came and dropped off my book you're inspiring me. I know you're inspiring somebody else, but you're inspiring me. I'm probably going to let my book go. If you want to talk, we could talk about publishing it. But I mean, just saying, I'm going to let my book go. I'm so excited right now. I'm excited for you because you're giving a blueprint and you don't even realize that. And that becomes the people. We saw the people, and you see the people that's selling their books on the tables or going to the hair salons, and you're wondering why they're doing that. Why don't they just go on Amazon? But you spoke it today, and I now understand. I got you. I thank you. Kudos. You did a good job.
Thanks a lot, Linnell. And one thing I want to tell you is the most inexpensive aspect of art, any art, is writing.
Yeah.
That's the most inexpensive. To be a painter, you gotta buy canvases, you gotta buy brushes, you gotta buy paint. The least expensive form of art is writing. If you're a seamstress, you gotta buy material. Even if you get them free, you gotta sew. You need a sewing machine. You need maintenance. The least expensive form of art is writing. There's nothing in your way as a writer but you. There's no reason for you not to write. You might not like 90% of it. That just means you got to write more. That's it. Just write. Write.
Thank you.
And if I inspired you, that made the whole thing worth it.
Wow. Powerful stuff. Thank you so much for that, Brother Attika and Linnell. Someone else, is that Life's Dance? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, Attika, it's Tracy. I just want to say happy birthday, for one. Right? And when I purchased the book, I came home because I'm like, let me get into this. What led me to buy it is because I was scrolling through Facebook. Us being in this COVID-19 situation and me living by myself, and I saw the title, and I said, you know what? I need to read a book about Brooklyn, and coming from a man's perspective, you know, in the 80s and the 90s, because I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, but I'm originally from the South Bronx. But I've been in Brooklyn for 30 years. So I plan on moving back, but I told myself when I looked, I said, you know what, just looking at it, I said, you know what, this book I'm gonna take back with me when I move to the Bronx. And since we know that time goes by very quickly with the gentrification, civilization is about to make a change, I said, hey, yo, I'm gonna have a book that as time go on, I can share with, you know, my nephews, my people, from the people that actually lived it, and that it was authentic. So it was a page turner. I was cracking up laughing with the phrases. And, you know, it was something that even though I wasn't there physically, but I think it's something that we all can relate to if we was brought up during those times. So the parties, the travelings, I mean, I didn't live that lifestyle, but we all knew people that did. So it was just really, it was very entertaining. It was really real. And then I didn't put it in my comments, but I was like, yo, this is definitely a TV series, Brooklyn Bred. So thumbs up, and it was worth it. The gold, the threading of the book. I was like, yo, here's my tabletop art right here. When people come in, it's a discussion, you know, so thank you so much, and keep rocking.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, someone else? Anyone else? I'm checking to see if somebody wants to. Is that Omika Moore? You are up.
Hey, okay, so it's Okima.
I'm sorry, Okima. I'm gonna get that right.
Thank you, brother. So Attika, I just want to say I'm so proud of you. We talk a lot, and we talk about a lot of different things. Some of them are jokes, you know, and inside jokes, and some of them are real shit. And I just appreciate that you consistently just go with your gut. You know that I have been pushing out of operating in fear in this business for a long time. You're one of those people that continue to remind me that I'm bigger than the things that I think are bigger than me. And I appreciate you for that. And this book and its price tag shows me that you are who the fuck you say you are. Because when I first saw it, I was like, $100, well, what's in the book? And then I was like, you know what, it's Attika. Let me just hey, Attika, when are you able to drop off this book? And I actually bought the book. I haven't posted it yet because I bought it for my father for Father's Day. And I don't want to spoil the surprise, which means that I ultimately need to just buy another book so I can have my own, and then he'll have his own. So thank you for signing it for him. But my question is, with you having this level of success, insight, and vision and fortitude with your own book, are you ever in the idea that at some point you may look to be kind of like an Attika Presents and work with other writers that are looking to produce content that can glean from what you've done and really kind of just replicate your model, but you reap the benefits of that replication?
Thanks, Okima. You know what I'm saying? And you know, what's understood don't need to be explained. You already know what it is. The short answer is yes. I've been asked by several people to again, because you know, you can only go so far with your name. You'll get in the door, but you got to deliver. You got to produce. You know what I'm saying? And fortunately for me, I do have a somewhat clean name. You know what I'm saying? And some folks, I don't know if anybody on this thread has heard any dirt about me, but I like to think I have a clean name. And if you have heard dirt about me, all I'm going to say is before you judge, get my story. I'm not saying I ain't do it. I'm just saying I might have had a reason for it. They might have deserved it. But that being said, for the most part, I think I have a pretty clean name out in life, in my social circles, and in business. You know, so a lot of people, and then you deliver a product like this, and people are like, wow, it looks good. Let me read it. Wow, it's actually really good. So now some people have come to ask me to, you know, I have this project. I want to get it published, but I would rather rock with you. You know, so it's come up. One of the other goals for this price tag was I needed money for a company. I needed money like to start, because you don't want to make something and then go right back into it and have to beg folks again. Like, you want to set yourself in a position to whereas, you know, you put yourself in a position to continue producing. You know what I'm saying? And as a startup, I can't mess with majors. You know what I'm saying? But I need shelf space. One of the biggest things in stores, I don't care, all of y'all know this, even if you don't know it consciously, you know it subconsciously. Real estate in the store, in the shelving, in the showcase. When you hit the corner, when you walk through the watches in Macy's, you hit that corner, it might be Gucci. In the corner, from here, the left and right. Back there, you might have swatches, Fossil, all of that. You hit this corner, it might be Gucci. But guess what? If Gucci don't perform, it's going to be tagged next week. You walk by the counter, when them girls are spraying cologne on you, they spraying the cologne for that week. If you don't perform, they ain't spraying that cologne no more. They're spraying new. It's about your positioning in sales. So I can't compete with certain folks, but I'm not trying to. I'm fishing in my pond with my bait. You know what I'm saying? I'm not fishing with the wrong bait I'm not fishing with porgy bait for flounders. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. I'm fishing in my pond. I know the people that I know. The question is not, do they have $100? The question is whether they think you are worth $100. And that's what it is. It's nobody on this live, on this feed, that I would question whether they have $100 or whether they have wasted $100 or whether they have lost $100 and not sweated it, or, you know, whether they bought something, they were supposed to take it back, but the time that it took for them to take it back, they said, you know what, it's not. So it's not a matter of whether they have $100 or not. The question is, are you worth $100 to them? Got it. And if you are, you put it out there. You put it out there, right? So, you know, I think I veered off course a little bit, but I think it's all relevant. You know what I'm saying? I think it's all relevant. So people, I know what I was saying. So people believed in me after I put this, well, before I put the product out, but when you put the product out and the product is dope, now they're saying, can you publish mine? Can you publish mine? And I'm considering it. I'm thinking about it. You know, there are different expectations on me when I'm publishing someone else's. So I want to make sure I meet those expectations before I say yes. But the photographer that took the pictures, Romulus, he's dope. He wants to put out his photography book, and he wants it something like this. He said, if you can do that, you can do mine. And he literally said, you're doing my book. And someone else has said it. So I'm considering it.
Wow. Wow. And it's interesting because you shut down your fears and took away that ceiling, that self-imposed ceiling, Attika, you are opening up opportunities for other people. At the same time, you're opening up opportunities for yourself. That is super powerful.
Everybody that knows me in my line of work, that's been like, Okima can speak to it. I don't know who else is here, but that's what I do. Like there are people that came into this business under me that had no business in this business. You know what I'm saying? Like I produce events for actors and directors and producers that I don't make a dime from. I actually put more money in it. People think it's a big, dope event with celebrities and this, that, and the third, but I'm doing it to bridge the gap and to remove the veil that says we are not good enough. See, the problem with marketing is not about what you need. People don't market to you what you need. They play on the fact that if you don't have what I say you need, then you're dumb. If you don't have what I say you need, then you're an oddball. If you don't have what I say you need, then you're not popping. There was that Mac, remember that Mac PC commercial when PC was fat and sloppy and Mac was, you know, like he looked like one of the cast of Friends. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's one of them things. Marketing doesn't work on what you need because most of the stuff you don't need, they're upselling you. They're not selling you what you need, they're upselling you. So the way they upsell you, they make you feel like you're popping. They make you feel like you hot when you got that bag with them G's on it. They make you feel like you popping when you buy that pleather LV bag and it's coming off the conveyor belt and you got 4 LV bags and, you know, we used to call it pleather when we grew up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's not about your bag holds more than this bag. Your bag has more wheels. It can drive itself. It's none of that. It's like when you feel, if you don't have it, it plays on your psyche if you're part of that audience. You know what I'm saying? You can remove all of that shit. You know, remove all of that shit. We have the power to produce, to create, and to say, I ain't giving it away. No more new edition contracts.
Wow. Good stuff. I think Derek Parks had something to say. Where are you, Derek? Or his phone might have went out. Is there anyone else?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay, good. Go ahead, Derek.
I just want to say happy birthday to you, my brother. And as a salute right back to you. And as I told you when I read it in 2 days, that you painted such a vivid picture of the 90s, man. Like, I didn't go to college in Long Island, but I felt like I was on the campus, you know, crowdsourcing with y'all, as you called it when I spoke to you about it. Before there was a crowdsource, before there was a GoFundMe, you know what I mean? Like, so it was great, man. And you're an awesome brother. And I want to say a quick story how I spoke to Attika after reading the book, and it was like, and Anael and a couple people on here that know me knows that like yo, Attika, like yo, that character that you mentioned, I know him. He's like, nah, but that ain't his name. I'm like, yo, that ain't gotta be his name, but I just know because I was running around in that, and come to find out, it wound up being somebody that we both mutually knew. So what I say to say, like, he painted such a vivid, clear picture that I saw it and saw that person in the picture in the book.
Wow.
Thanks a lot. The Derek's name is in the credits because Derek is one of the people who, when he found out about it, he said, yo, I'll read it. Like, I was thinking about who can I get to read it and give me feedback. I didn't ask Derek. Derek said, yo, I'll read it. And he read it in 2 days, gave me feedback, copious notes about it. And then he was like, yo, you know, with the best of my ability, I'll edit it. I'm not an editor, but I'll give you all my feedback. And to me, that's priceless, yo. That's priceless. Like, it's his time. And it was so that's why his name is in the credits at the back. My special thanks is to people who extended themselves selflessly. And I thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
And I thank you for that notice too. I appreciate that.
Angel would like to share. I see Angel's been tagging in.
Hey, what's up, Attika? First of all, happy birthday.
Thank you, Angel.
Peace to everybody. I wanted to say to you, thank you for your perseverance in the industry, okay? I only met you through the film circuit, so I don't know all your background. I don't even know if that matters, because what you have brought to the table in every project I've watched you work on is perseverance. Lesson number one. Number two, when you talk about not being your out of your own way, how you become your own stumbling block. That's so real in terms of where I am in my writing. A part of the process for me is identifying that my voice needs to be heard and not allowing my insecurities about my sensitivity with my work to get in my way. And I tapped on you and said, look, I want to support you. Part of it is because I want to support Black business. The other part of it is because I want to get back to you when my writing gets to the place where I can, in fact, ask you how to move forward with the self-publishing. That's going to be a very useful tool. But I think in addition to that, being able to show my 9-year-old son in 2020, in spite of the Bill of Rights not being his right, that we can get beyond it. That here's an example of a brother from Brooklyn who didn't allow adversity to get in his way, and I can make that real for my 9-year-old son. It's challenging when you don't have tangible evidence of what is possible, but it becomes so much more real for our children and for ourselves as well when we have somebody that we can hold on to and tap into and let them see this is the bridge. It is possible, it is tangible, and you can do it as well. Don't allow any circumstances beyond your control to be the factor that controls you. So I applaud you. I thank you so much for your perseverance, your leadership. The writing is very visual, and it definitely is a page turner, and I thank you for it.
Thanks a lot, Angel. You know, I'm gonna say this, man. Like, I operate a lot from the worst case. I identify the worst case scenario early, and I try to figure out. It says I'm muted. Can you hear me?
You're good.
I try to consider the worst case scenario because a lot of us like to operate within the best case scenarios. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, if I do this, this is gonna happen, right? And sometimes that doesn't happen. I try to operate from the worst case scenario. And when it comes to writing or publishing a book, the absolute worst that could happen wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Like, what's the absolute worst thing that can happen if you self-publish a book? It's not bad. So from there, the fear should be wiped away instantly. It ain't like if I do a book, I'm gonna get stabbed, right? So I'm not worried, like, or if you do a book, you might die. Like, that's not the case. Just write it, you know, get a company and publish it. And that's it. I like to consider the worst case scenario. And we're moving in a world where the things that we want to do, fortunately for us, this generation, we have a little bit more freedom, whether it's financially or educationally, than in many cases the generation before us. Like, it would be a disservice considering the shit that they did,
right,
with what they had, for us not to go after our dreams. you know.
All right. It looks like I have Nancy. Nancy, you ready? And then we're going to go to Kojo.
Cool.
Okay, Nancy, you're ready.
Hey, Attika. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I wanted to say that I appreciate you allowing me to help you way along the way. I remember the first time I met you. I don't know if you remember that, but I was working for Rich at Nubian.
Hold on. Should we mute this?
No.
Hold on. My mama here.
No. But
What was I doing?
You walked into Nubian Heritage on Fulton.
Okay.
And I was working for Rich. And you walked in, and that's how we met. And we just started talking. And it turned out that I knew your brother because he went to Morgan with me.
That's where I thought you was going. You was at a party at Morgan doing some crazy stuff. All right, cool. We good.
But it was just a really great link. And for you, Dr. A, we went to Satellite East together, I believe. So it's a full circle here because I grew up on Clifton Place between Bedford and Nostrand.
Oh, wow.
And I went to PS 270. So it's a small world.
Very small.
But you know, what you've done, Attika, is very different. As a publisher, I know this I work for a publishing house right now, and I know the entire model. And for you to do what you've done and step out in that way is commendable because people are very afraid, especially with everything that's going on now. And you didn't allow what's happening now to stop you from moving forward with getting the book published and selling it and doing extremely well. I remember when you told me the price tag and I was like, you sure? And you were like, look, I know I can sell these books. I got people that will support me. And you've done a great job. You pulled together your community, which is excellent. And a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people are afraid and they allow fear to stop them from moving forward. So you are definitely an inspiration for a lot of people on here, and for people to entrust you and want to move forward with publishing under you, you know, is a great thing. It is an arduous process because I'm working with 3 books right now. You know one of them, Attika, you and I spoke in length about it. But nonetheless, you deserve everything that is happening, and I look forward to seeing Brooklyn Bred turn into a series, and look for me to help you along the way with that as well. Don't leave me out.
Thank you, Nancy.
All right, sweetie.
So Nancy, first, you know, I know Nancy went to school with Sag and Morgan. I went down to Morgan a couple of times. So when she said, you may not remember when you met me, I'm like, hold on. I experienced go-go at Morgan in a way that I'd never seen it before, and I was on the dance floor all in it. So I'm like, yo, what did I do? But fortunately, we didn't go there, so good. But let me tell you, Nancy's name is in the back of the book too for special thanks, and I'm gonna tell you why. Nancy, I don't know Nancy's full title, but she just said publisher, but Nancy works in the literary world, you know, and she does a lot of things. Like recently I was at the Black Literary Awards. She was the host of it. You know, there was a lot. And then, you know, when I found out she's working on this book, working with that book. So there was a time I was writing and I was ready to print, and I was just rapping with Nancy, and I asked her a couple of questions. Without fail, she shot them to me. She gave me answers and guided me, you know, without fail. Now, there are some people in this world, let's just say Derek Grill. We went to school together. We know people in common. I may ask you for Tyrone Brody's number, and you'd be like, hold on, let me call Ty first and see if I can give you his number. You know what I'm saying? It's like Tanya, Leslie. We know a lot of people in common. I may be like, yo, Tanya, I'm trying to get a Ghana. Can you give me a number? I lost it in my last phone. Well, let me call Ghana first. Let me make sure it's okay. Those type of people I stay away from. Because it's like, I ain't asking you for your client's number. I'm asking for somebody, you know, we cool. Like, we were together last week together, right? there are some people that try to hoard their information no matter how minute it is. You know what I'm saying? How minute it is. The way I found this printer, I'm talking to Nancy about printing and prices. I told her where I was going. She was like, no, don't go there. You should go here. So she said, go here. And not only did she say go there, because I'm not the most savvy, you know, I don't really like the internet a lot. I got to deal with it, but I don't deal with it as much, right? She's like, not only go, hold on, I'm going to send you a link. That's like heaven to me, because I don't have to navigate this stuff. She's like, hold on, I'm going to send you a link. Sends the link. And she'll even follow up and say, how's it going? This is her business. This is her business. And people like this needs to be highlighted. Like, I can't give the money because I don't got them. Contrary to what people think, I'm selling the book for it, but I ain't got the money. But I can give you credit. I can give you credit so people will know that forever, as long as this book exists, they know that this woman has something to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Because that, to me, that's a humbling thing, because that's how I am. But oftentimes you find those people like, hold on, let me see if I should give you his number. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll ask somebody, like one time I remember I asked this girl that I know, put it like this, Saz, there's an actress we know, right? I ain't gonna say her name, but there's an actress we know. She wanted to do a movie. It was an independent movie. They didn't have SAG contracts yet. That's the time you worked for SAG. She called me to say, do you have any information about SAG so these directors can turn the movie into a SAG film and then I can be in it? I said, you know what? My brother works for SAG. Let's do this. I called you, put you in touch with the directors. Y'all solved the problem. You know what I'm saying? Years later, I was finding a host for a show at LIU. You know, they called me to find a host. She has a friend who was Free from 106 in Park. So I'm like, yo, she knows Free. I can call her, be like, yo, I want to get Free some money. I got a budget. I can throw Free some money. But I didn't tell her that. I said, yo, trying to get in touch with Free. You know, can you make that happen? Well, you got to pay me for my connections. Now, here's the funny thing. I would have paid her depending on how she went about it. I told her, you know what? Keep your connections. We got Egypt instead. We didn't get Free, but we got Egypt. And Egypt did a hell of a job. Free didn't get no money. She didn't get no money. It was the way she said it. It was the way she said it. After you called me to make everything right on a movie for you, which put money in your pocket. So there are people out here like that, and I can't knock her, but I'll never forget that. Like, I don't know your financial situation. I don't know your mental state at the time. She might have been stressed out about something, but I never forgot that. We still cool to this day. When I reached out to Nancy, Nancy was like, yo, here's some information. Here's some information. And, you know, she didn't, yo, I can put you, all the editors that started, that led with the, yo, I can do this, but it's going to cost you this. I didn't work with them. Because I don't even know what you're worth. I don't know if you're capable. I'm a freelancer. I know how to work. I've been a freelancer since '94. I know how to work my fee into the conversation. I know how to work. It's like, okay, what do you want? Let me assess what you want. So this, that's what you want. Okay, so this is where it's going to be. This is where it's going to be. This is where it's going to be. And we can work it out. I don't just lead with, yo, Attika, can you do this for me? It's going to cost you this. I don't do that. And when people do that, I'm skeptical of them. Nancy just jumped out the gate and was like, yeah, I can help you. And I am forever grateful. And at the time, you know, people see this thing and they think it's all, you know, they think you're making a lot of money. I haven't sold half the books yet. You know what I'm saying? But I'm honored. I appreciate that. And that's why when we did the next round of books, because we did one iteration of it, her name wasn't in it. As soon as we did the next one, her name was in the special things. And that's why. And
wow.
Those people have to be highlighted.
So let me share something. And it's important that everyone hears this. What you give out, you're going to get back. And it doesn't have to be immediately. It doesn't have to be next year, but it comes full circle. The funny thing is, Attika, I don't even know if you remember this. There was something at LIU Brooklyn that, and this was a few years ago, and it was some film, something that you were a part of. And I got there, and you just said, yo, here, and gave me a ticket because I didn't have a ticket. And I didn't really know you. We knew the same people, and I was like, yo, that brother's all right with me because he didn't have to do that. And what I'm seeing, and now that I got some experience in life, I see the people who just do the right thing because they can tend to get blessed the same way through other situations and circumstances. And I think that's key for us to be moving. That's a key way for us to be moving, not only in this time, but going forward. You know, everyone lean on each other and respect when people lean into you and pour into you and do something with it. So I'm sure that we all have stories like that, but I think it's important that we continue to press forward and support each other in ways that are meaningful.
Yeah, as long as I've been doing events, I've never turned anyone away that didn't have money, ever, ever. There'd be time I didn't know them. I walk to the door and they'd be like, "Yo, man," if they seem like, you know, because people would show up without money. If they seem like they were cool, I let them in. If they seem like they were problematic, I'd be like, "You got to talk to the bouncers." But I've never really, like, nobody has come that seemed like they were cool, legit cool, and just like, "Yo, I knew you having an event. I wanted to come, but this is a tough week." I let them in, and that wasn't your case. But I'm saying that to say, in general, I've never turned anyone away from and I've been doing events for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kojo, you are up.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Happy birthday, Attika. Dr. A, good seeing you. So this is what I came for. I knew it was going to be a book chat, but I knew there was going to be a lot of jewels being dropped. And this was like this was a session, a lot of inspirational moments. I just want to say, Attika, you know, we came up in a movement that was grounded in self-determination and Kujichagulia. And for me, this was like a powerful lesson. So I just want to say thank you for this, because that's what resonated with me. And, you know, you may know something, but, you know, the different applications and analysis of it deepens you. And today was one of those moments where it resonated greatly in terms of moving courageously. I can't say that I'm surprised by it. You know, it's aligned with who you are and your character and your boldness and being who you are. And, you know, in that, you know, you mentioned selling the books and knowing that you had human capital. And that was big time, because a lot of things people said, same thinking here, right? And just to kind of turn it back to the book, I had a question in terms of when I often speak to you or read things you have written, it's the perspective, right, that I look for. I'm like, well, you know, everybody's parroting the same thing, right? And I know, you know, Addison's going to go a little deeper. He's going to give me a perspective that is a little different, and that's the value, right? When writing this book, do you feel like from other stories written from that time period, without unpacking the story or giving anything away, in what ways did you feel like your perspective differed from other stories that were written?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Kojo. Well, first of all, thank you for all that you said, man, because, you know, you're my brother, man, and that's what it is, man. I can go. That's a whole other conversation. But I'll be honest with you, man. Like, even as a filmmaker, man, I don't study a lot of people's work. I don't. Like, I didn't look to compare it with a lot of, because this book, I don't find myself genre specific. Let the marketing people deal with that. I don't find myself, what genre you gonna put me in? I don't know. I don't even know what urban means to this point. Like, I don't know what, you know, I don't know what urban mean. I don't know what gangster rap is. You know, I don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what it is. I know I've never seen or heard this story before. You know, I see the story where the dude ends either you know, dead in jail. Like a through line through this movie is my family, and through this book is my family and my conscious that came to me in my dreams. You know what I'm saying? My family was always there from the beginning. My mother took me to college and like, boy, you going to college. In the end, when I went back to college, my mother said, boy, I'm gonna fill out this paper and you going to college. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there was a lot in it. My family, you know, my you know, the advisor at my college. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things for those who haven't read the book, but I knew this story was different. I've never seen a story about someone. So all the story is about someone who loses their path. They fall off their chi. You know what I'm saying? And they lose their balance. And losing your balance don't mean that you messed up, because balance ain't about equal. Balance is about the fulcrum. It ain't about what's up here. Balance is about what's down here. Like you can balance 5 pounds and 500 pounds depending on how you shift. You know what I'm saying? Balance don't mean equal. Everybody gets knocked off their balance because their fulcrum shifts. Your chi shifts. And there's certain things that led to the character's chi shifting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he saw things happening around him and to him that shifted his chi. But his fulcrum, his center, was how he was raised. His father saying, you won't even make it in jail. Not because you can't fight, but you can't be there. You know what I'm saying? Like his mother not giving up on him, knowing he's out there lying to her. You know what I'm saying? But she's like, okay, my son needs a little bit of help. I wasn't, you know, and that, so the balance comes from, it doesn't mean I was a bad dude. It means my fulcrum got shifted. And that's what life will do to you. Life will put you in situations that'll test your fortitude. It will test your morals. You know what I'm saying? It'll put you in situations that'll make you question yourself. And there was a time when I'm with some dudes, and I'm gonna just give away this jewel in the book. I ain't gonna spoil nothing, but there's some times I with some dudes, and I said, just showing you that I didn't belong there. I said, can you kill one of these dudes? And I said, no, I can't. And I said, do you think they will kill you? I said, hell yeah. And I said, you know what? Now I have to kill them. It never happened, but my mind was playing tricks on me. That whole, you know, the mind tricks the body, body thinks the mind's crazy. Like, I'm sorry, I go to hip hop a lot. Like, that's my safe space, right? So, but there's a lot in the book about someone's center being shifted by the variables around them.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? And like, it's about balance, and balance is never about the numerator. Balance is about the denominator.
Wow. Okay. Look, we are actually right at the time where we are going to stop.
Wow, we can't go more. You got pro?
Yeah, I got pro. We've been on for 2 hours.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And you know, you could always dice it. So if we need to do another one, we do another one, right?
Well, I think almost everybody here got my info, and I just want to. I'm sorry. Was I going to get some closing words, Doc? Or?
Of course.
All right, I'll let you close it out.
We went through the script. We got music.
Let's forego the music. Let's forego the music.
Fine. But I do want to say this. I want to thank everyone for supporting this book, and we're moving in a circle. So you put out $100 to get this book, and it's a great book. I read it. My daughter's reading it. She's 16, and my wife is reading it because I think it's important. But you put that out, and I thought I would give everyone the opportunity. I'm an educator. That's what I do professionally. I do a lot of things, but I work for the state education department. And if you have a student in high school, this gift is going to be a blessing to you. And I can say that because I think it's important. This is my gift from Attika to you. I put together a course, an online course on how to write a college essay, an elite one. My doctor is from Columbia. I've been a superintendent, all kinds of things. And Kojo just took his daughter through the course, because I think it's important that access and opportunity be shelled out within our community. Because I know, I was a principal in Great Neck, and one of my parents was like, well, I just pay this lady $150 and she takes my kid through what they need to learn to get into the college application process. So I'm going to put in this link, in this chat, the link to my website it's a free course, costs nothing. At some point I will charge, just because that's what I want to do. But I think everyone in here who has someone in high school will be at a nice advantage for having this resource. I'll also send Attika the link after this, because I want all of us to win. Just like I want Attika to win, and any of the authors who are on here, I want them to win. And I'm going to help you win in the way that I'm equipped to help people win. So thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting Attika. And I want everyone to be at their peak. And the only way that happens is those of us who have something to offer can use it to help somebody else. So I'm going to turn it back to Attika, and he's going to give us some closing comments. And I'm on Twitter at DRA Alston. You know how to reach Attika. If I can help, my space is education, and I know it pretty well. And if I can be a resource, by all means, reach out. Back to you, Brother Attika.
So Dr. A is being humble a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, your title is the Assistant Commissioner of Education in New York State?
That would be correct, yeah.
All right,
Yep.
cool. So I just want to, like, I'm just an educator. I used to be a principal. Like, that's big shit right there. Pardon me, mommy. That's big stuff right there, right? So, yeah. So I want to ask everybody who's on, who blocked their video, if you don't mind, show your video, show your face, because it looks bad when I take this picture. And, you know, I just want to take a picture, and everybody else can take a picture, because y'all have helped me tremendously with marketing this project by just talking about it. And that's everybody. Don't make me call your names. Only name I don't know is iPhone. Like, show your face. You don't have to, you know, come on board. Denise, Magdalena, Natisha, I see y'all, Alshanti. You know, because I'm gonna take this picture and y'all gonna be black holes in the photo. There we go, Denise. Thank you. Alshanti, come on. Natisha, come on. Yeah, because I'm humbly grateful, and we have the power. That whole thing, power to the people. We have the power. We have the power. We have to harness it, and we have to be strategic and specific with and intentional with how we use it. I really appreciate you all. You know, the thing that bugs me out the most is that nobody here asked me what the book was about. They said, that's your book, I'm buying it. Okay, Alshanti, you're gonna be the one whose picture is not in here, just your name. You know, but I'm gonna take a picture and I'm gonna make it full screen while we're here. And if anybody else wants to, please do it, because I need your support to post this. Please take a picture of this so we can post it and post it, talk about it. The other thing is this, I was supposed, and I find this crazy because there are people literally dying right now between COVID-19 and, you know, the other stuff that's going on. I don't even want to talk about that. That's another 2 hours, because I feel passionately about it and everybody knows it. But I was in the process, I was in development of my screenplay, my film, that we were going into production in April. And we were going in pre-production in April. We were going into production in May. We were supposed to be shooting. I had this whole thing done. My birthday is May 31st. We were going to promote the book at the party. We was going to promote wrapping the film at the party. And then I was going to talk about some other stuff I have launching. You know, I had a whole big deal, but you know that whole thing, man plans, God laughs. And that thing is true at times. I didn't know the whole world would be broken, but it is, and I'm waiting for it to heal between COVID and between the other stuff that's going on. But I just really, Ashanti, you got close the one you're not using because someone else's face can get in there. Your face is up on two. Your name is on one and your face is on the other. Close.
Okay, I'll close it. Hold on.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because that'll be a better picture. Yeah, but in doing so, I don't think I did anything magical. I don't think I just believed in myself and I believed in y'all. I believed in my people. I believed in my my friends. I believed in all of you people who've known me for 30, 40, 20, 10. Those who just met me. And y'all created this. I didn't start asking people to post this. I just said, yo, when they bought it, like I wasn't even ready when I posted it. I had just received it and I posted it, and then it caught fire, and I'm honored. And then people started posting. I bought it, I got mine, and then other people started. So I said, oh, that's my marketing. Again, I'm a vessel through which the ideas come. I don't know everything. I'm just going with it. And then so I started asking people, hey, please don't forget to post it. Oh, that's Mrs. Howell. Oh, wow. Hey. Yeah. And I said, yo, please post it. Please. And then everybody became marketing. And for those who know me in this business, whether it's through the film festivals, the conferences that I do, the conversations, the monologue slams, all of the things for actors, for directors, for filmmakers, the documentaries I do, I'm constantly pushing. I'm constantly working. I want you all to continue to push. The only thing you fear is fear itself. Get out your own way and push. I humbly thank you. And aside from the fact, not that anybody ever asked, aside from the fact that you supported this book, you also supported a movement, because this is the beginning of a lot more stuff to come. And I sincerely appreciate you. And thank you. I'm going to take this picture again. And please, if anybody is so inclined to do so, please take out your phones and take a picture, because I would love for you to post about this and let the world know. Oh, and when Dr. A and I was talking, I was like, this is only for people who bought the book. This is the VIP section.
Right.
Yo, you can unmute everybody too. This is the VIP section. You know what I'm saying? This is for only the people who bought the book. Everybody else ain't in this for a reason, because I want to.
What's up.
Oh, thank you. And this is what you get when you pay that much for the book. You get access to the author, and we get to talk about this the same way. If we didn't have this lockdown quarantine,
Right.
it would have been an event, and y'all would have been invited to the event. And I already had my my wine sponsor and everything. We were going to do this anyway. I just had to change gears and do it this way. And
8 o'clock there, right?
yeah, what? Oh, someone's talking. But yeah, thank you very much. And you can unmute everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you, brother.
Everybody
Thank you so
unmute
much.
yourself. Unmute yourself. Everybody unmute yourself.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah,
Thanks, Attica. Peace to you. Much success, brother.
thank you.
See you, Attica.
So I don't know if everybody's listening.
Happy birthday.
So everybody's talking right now. This is Derek trying to get a word in.
Okay.
A lot of people are speaking, but if I could just have the floor for a second. So, just want to say one thing. So, like one thing I always tell my wife is like, there's a lot of friends that I have that I don't have to speak to them for years, but if I speak to them, it's just like yesterday. And she understands that. And I think our relationship has been one of that. And one thing I want to say that, and this is the reason why I bought your book and invested in you, as you spoke earlier. But one time we was at an event you threw a party at Poke Knockers, and this was fucking years ago, But it was the way that you carried yourself and amongst the people, amongst your people, that I always felt, okay, this guy's somebody special. And we knew each other from school, but it was more about how you carried yourself outside of that made me want to buy the book and support you and keep you going. So I just want to say thanks, man. Like me and my wife, we're up to knee deep. We're not finished the book yet. We read the book, but we keep stopping and talking. So we're not even finished the book yet. We're up to knee deep. And we always make sure we finish a chapter before we'll stop at a chapter and then talk about it. And we haven't like this is a first for us. Like reading a book together, like actually like reading the book on a blanket, like reading the book together on the beach. Like it's fucking awesome. And I had mentioned that it's the format of your book that allows that to happen. But I just wanted to say thank you. You're doing good things, and I really appreciate what you're doing.
Yo, man, I'm humbled. I'm humbled by that. Thank you, D. And D was one of them older dudes in college, man. One of them. He was like a senior when I was a freshman. He was D nice, D smooth, all of that, man. And for us to still be cool and he not be, that's one of them little knucklehead freshmen. That's a testament to you, because you was cool with us when we been 3 years younger than you. It mattered. Right now, none of that shit matters.
None of it.
3 years matter. 17 to 20. Oh, that
difference.
Thanks, brother. Thank you, Katie. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. And now I feel even greater because there's a bonding moment here.
Yo, that's why I asked you, did you do that on purpose? Because the format of the book, like the landscape format, the heavy weighted paper, is perfect for reading as a couple. Just the book itself. Perfect.
That's dope.
I told you my wife loved the gold trimming. Love it.
I do love it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say yes, I did it on purpose.
With a wing.
I did it specifically for couples to read together. My whole concept was Black love. That was
Black
my
love.
Get the Black family together so they can read it together, and that was it. So yes, sir. Yeah, man. This is Howell here.
Congratulations, At. I'm proud of you.
I think we should end with a happy birthday to At. This is his birthday.
Yeah, we could do that.
End with a happy birthday.
I'm down for that, for sure.
Everybody got to go something to toast with.
Oh man.
Y'all got to go re-up.
Go until they kick us out. You know, Bred, we gonna go until Zoom kick us out.
Zoom don't kick you out when you got an account.
Dr. A gonna kick us out.
Dr. A, Dr. A gotta go. That's why we got the happy birthday on.
That just can come out, right?
All right. Cool, Dr. A. Thank you, Anael.
Yes, sir.
Oh, look at mommy. She got the boss bottle.
Mommy, thank you very much for giving birth to me. And remember, it's a novel, mommy. It's fiction.
I believe that.
Say that again, mommy.
A romance novel.
Yeah, I wonder if Stephen King's mother asked him if he killed people.
Touche.
Cheers. Cheers to you, Attika, to the community, to the family, everybody.
Cheers.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday.
Birthday to you.
He wants to sing. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Where's that coming from? Oh, wait, everybody.
Happy birthday.
Go ahead, do it.
Happy birthday.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna jump off another call at 8:30.
I didn't believe this could be this dope, yo. I did not believe it.
I told you, Attika, it could be fun.
Thank you. I did not believe this would be this dope.
This was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Wow. This is amazing. Wow.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Who's singing that got the voice?
Yeah, they have a nice voice.
Okay,
what was that? Everybody quiet except Angela. Angela, keep it going. Everybody mute their phone.
Birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Angel.
Yo, Angel. Thumbs up to you, Angel. That was awesome.
You never know what to expect at my party. It will always be a surprise. Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you so much. Who is the count? Oh, that's Heidi.